West Wednesday 626, Justice for Tyrone West and Justice for all victims of police brutality. Tawanda, it's all you.
Mic check. And thank you guys for tuning in. And as we're online, we always play, unfortunately, the sad video. And, you know, it's disgusting. And here we are a decade into my brother being murdered, and we're still playing the same video, still trying to get accountability. But stay tuned for the video, and we'll be right back. Mic check.
Mic check.
Won't stop till killer cops are in cell blocks. Can't stop.
The following video portrays an incident of assault and violence at the hands of police. Viewer discretion is advised.
I suggest you back the fuck up. No.
This is Baltimore City Police Officer Jorge Bernardes Ruiz. In a video shot in 2016, Ruiz is seen with his knee on the back of an unknown man with a gun pointed at the man's head. His message was a clear one. Concerned onlookers, adhere to my dictates or else. Here, we can hear Ruiz saying to Baltimore residents,
I suggest you back the fuck up.
It is documented that Baltimore police officer Jorge Bernardes Ruiz is a repeat violent offender, even without access to all complaints against Ruiz, undisclosed by BPD Internal Affairs records. 6 cases involving Ruiz are known. This video will briefly highlight 6 total cases beginning in July of 2013. Case 1, Abdul Salam, July 1st, 2013. Here, Salam is seen victoriously smiling in celebration after the jury found Ruiz and 2 other cops liable for brutality against him. However, because the trial was civil, not criminal, Ruiz was not fired and he did not go to jail.
Police profiled me. They followed me in the back of my house, harassing me. Police proceeded to violently and hostilely approach my van with me and my son in it. As I announced, this was my home, guns drawn. Once they reached my vehicle, they violently pulled me out, ramshacked my vehicle with my 3-year-old son strapped in his car seat, threw me against the gate, slammed me repeatedly, picked me up by my feet, and while I'm upside down, they proceeded to drop me on my head, hog-tie me, and immediately when I fell on my head, Ruiz, in a wrestling type of action, and kind of hit his knee against my neck. I was arrested. I had no idea what I was being arrested for. My son is scarred to this day. He remembers the incident as it happened yesterday. When he talks about it, he always refers to Daddy being on the floor with police yesterday.
Case 2, Darrell Harris, profiled, as seen in this video, July 17th, 2013.
Yeah, Sid, what's wrong with it? Improper way with it. There's no such thing as an improper way.
You gonna tell me my job, bro?
I know the law.
Are you gonna tell me the law?
I know the law.
You gonna tell me the law?
I know the law. What's the problem? You giving me a ticket? You need my license registration?
Yeah, let me get it.
To profile, y'all use the seatbelt as a reason. Profile.
So, do me a favor, take out your keys.
Yeah, you can record. For what? Nah. I don't feel safe right now. Do you want me to step out the car? Do you want me to step out the car? I'll step out the car. Call the police, man. What do you call a supervisor? I won't do shit. This is getting uploaded to the internet right now.
Yeah? And we are 2 law-abiding citizens that we're getting targeted, and I don't know why.
Just 24 hours later, Bernardes Ruiz played a leading role in the police killing of unarmed Tyrone West. Case number 3, the murder of Tyrone West, July 18th, 2013.
My brother Tyrone West was brutally murdered
on July the 18th, 2013.
In both of these cases, when you look at the pleadings and the harsh language of these officers that have been quoted to me by reliable witnesses, the N-word.
And Killer Ruiz and Killer Chapman and the rest of those 11 to 15 killers, including David Lewis, took something from my family that they could never give us again. And that was my brother Tyrone West, one unarmed man who was brutally murdered, beat to death in broad daylight.
Tawanda, I believe you're on.
Mic check.
Mic check.
Awesome. So I want to thank everybody for joining us live tonight, and definitely appreciate it. And also just wanted to give everybody a big shout out for actually coming out this past Friday for my brother's 12-year commemoration. That meant the world to me. And just like I said, and it was amazing because this is the first time like ever that I literally went to a place where my brother was brutally executed, and I refused to shed a tear. I said, 12 years, they can really cry tears. Like, I'm done with the tears. Like, I'm not saying that I'm not like gonna, cry and mourn, and try to mourn, because I have not literally been able to mourn, because without accountability, there is, no mourning, there's nothing, So just imagine a whole decade go by, you didn't even really have a chance to mourn, but I will in the comforts of my own space if I want to share a few or whatever, or however I will. But no, they need to be shared in tears, because I'm actively working on getting charges now that the truth is out. It's always been out, but now that pretty much you guys can see the truth, the world can see the truth, that as we've been stated from day one, since they murdered my brother, that his death was a homicide. And I want full accountability, because if we think about it, I want it in reverse, because the reason why they said, and at the time, it was Greg Bernstein. And I remember it was crystal clear as if it wasn't yesterday. But I remember him stating to my grieving family, my hurting family. Because again, I said, without any accountability, you don't really get a chance to grieve. So my hurting family, all I can remember is sitting around a table in his office that could literally hold 25 people, and he subject my family to only bring in 5 family members, literally, into his big, cozy, comfy office. And that's how disrespectful he was. And it didn't stop there. He disrespected Anthony Anderson's family the same exact way a year before he laughed in their face, and he laughed in my family face. And he said, this makes good for a civil case. And I asked him, why, and at that time when I remember sitting down with him, I at that time only knew of Abdul Salam. And I'm like, and Abdul Salam was with us, and they made Abdul Salam stay out downstairs or whatever. Like I said, subject me to only bring, including myself, 5 members of the West family, and we were literally, I'm talking about 35 or 40 more. And that's how we was every week, literally. And it took them 154 days to come out with a partial autopsy report, and then literally that next day or the same day, he pretty much, I think it was, if I'm thinking right, it was the same day he said he wanted to meet up with my family. And I just remember us riding down to his office, praying, holding hands, and like, oh yeah, this is the moment we're about to get accountability. They said that there were video footage. We don't know what evidence they have. We know what the witnesses on Kentmore Cowway was saying, but we told them so that way we could be transparent and we wouldn't mess up the integrity of the case. We told them any information, please forward it over to the White Paddocks office. So to make a long story short, Greg Bernstein said, based upon your brother's autopsy report that I just received, ruled a homicide, and besides an abrasion on his forehead, there was no indication that he was murdered. So I'm not going to charge any of my officers like with anything. And that was so disgusting and heartbreaking. And I'm in my mind like, you got to be kidding. And from that moment, when I walked out what I would describe as gates of, you know what, where the devil is, because trying not to use potty words, but that moment stole something from me. And I told him, you know, don't get comfy in this chair. I promise you that you will not be in this office. I guarantee you, you will not be in this office anymore. And we did our West Wednesdays in front of the downtown in front of the Baltimore Medical Examiner's office, as well as in the state's attorney's office. And we went and we literally was telling people not to vote for him. And it was around election time, you know, and we got him out of office. We literally got him out of office. But to literally go through a whole decade, that's why I elected to be online tonight. And I elected not to have any guests, because I wanted to pretty much just piggyback off of over a decade of no accountability, no justice, no peace. You know, it's disgusting and it's very heartbreaking. And even though we had like small, you know, wins in this, like we were able, the West Coalition as it was being formed, you know, we were able to collaborate with different coalitions such as Not Without Black Women, Jews for Justice. And at the time, Mayor Brandon Scott, he was the council's president, and he wasn't the mayor. And he sponsored our bill, him and Sharon Sneed. And, you know, it was a gag on the bill because they try to gag us. That's the first thing they try to do is gag you. They try to give you money to silence you. And the saddest part, when you think about it, if they murdered your loved one and they took a father from raising his children that was producing, he wasn't a deadbeat dad, he was producing for his children, taking care of his family, and they snatched that. They owed, it was like they owed us money. That was something that was like pretty much, they wasn't doing us a favor or anything. And it's just disgusting to take a family through that. And then we're taxpayers. We pay, you know, taxes, and we're not paying them to come slaughter us. So again, you think about this capitalist system, how it sucks our money out of us, sucks us dry to make the money. It just sucks us as if we are a lemon. Just keep squeezing us and squeezing us. You know, squeezing the life out of us. It's very disgusting. But my whole point is, here we go, 12 years later, 626 weeks. That is a very long time. And I've been standing on nothing but truth. I've been standing on nothing but truth. And I'll say it again, been standing on nothing but truth. When we told y'all my brother was brutally executed, we didn't have an accurate number. And unfortunately, to this day, we really don't have an accurate number. But us, like, you know, doing like public information acts and whatnot, things of that nature, we were able to pretty much gather more information than what we had. Because at first, literally, when my brother was slaughtered, we was thinking like 9 or 10 officers. That's what we first thought, you know. And then as we started getting public information acts and things like that, we're like, you got to be kidding me. Up to 18 officers, and we didn't really find out about that. 18, like almost 20 officers. We didn't find this information out, unfortunately, until this year. You know, literally this year or maybe last year, you know, but my whole point is to actually go through all this stuff and still don't have accountability. Yeah, the gag order bill got passed, you know, thank goodness, because they were silencing families. And like I said, forced silence condones violence. When you force someone into silence, that's almost saying to a poor child, and I always use a child because I love children. I've been working all my life with children. You know, that's children that has always been my passion. But that's almost like a silence in a child, telling a child, don't tell me who the predator is, don't tell me who did anything to you, or even once you know who the predator is and you still leave the children around the predator knowing that that's a predator, disgusting. And that's just how I feel with these killer cops. You know, it's just so sad. And then the fact, let's focus in on Killer Ruiz. He was one of the first one, him and Chapman, was the first two to actually pull my vehicle over back in 2013 for no reason while my brother was driving it. You know, he didn't have a broken tail light. They didn't come out of their vehicle, their unmarked vehicle. They were in plain clothes. They didn't come out their unmarked vehicle with a ticket book to write a ticket for a traffic infraction or violation. They came out with their weapons drawn. They came out in attack mode, literally pulling my brother by his dreadlocks, literally out of the vehicle, and a heinous beating began. And it's just disgusting. But to learn that with different, like, small things that literally that I've been pushing, my family's been pushing, my supporters been pushing, but we've been the driving force of all this. Like, I never, ever miss a West Wednesday. Even when I say my family, hey, you guys, I love y'all. Y'all can take a break from this. I got it. Even when I don't even feel like I got it, I'm still always here. And it's just sad, like, you know, going through the stuff, and as life is happening, you see people, you know, like pretty much passing away. If they're not being murdered, it's just sad. Like, we just had everybody, the whole world, to me, suffered a tragic loss when Theo is known on the Cosby Show. Just passed from drowning. Like, literally, that broke everybody's heart. Like, everybody as a kid, you know, knew about the Cosby Show. And they watched them laugh, all that kind of stuff. And then literally, for him to die at a young age of 54 just from a drowning accident, like, so you just never know. But with all that being said, I just only been asking for accountability. That's it. Nothing more, nothing less. Never changed up the truth. Always told the truth. I told you my brother was brutally executed, and the liars, they've been lying from day one. They went and lied on my brother. They first said that when they pulled Mr. West over, he was in compliance and he sat on the curb. And as he sat on this curb, you know, his pants pulled up and he saw a bulge in his socks. These liars can't even lie right. Let's deflect everything that these liars said. The fact that my brother had on shorts that came to his knees, he didn't have on pants, he had on shorts. And the fact that my brother had on ankle socks, where are you going to see a bulge at? And the fact that out of the killer mouths, Ruiz, the one I said let's focus on, out of his mouth, during the depo process, the deposition process, I apologize, but during the deposition process, he was sworn in, and they said, well, you know, why did you never test what kind of drugs was it? You said it was drugs, and normally, like, if you pull anybody over, the thing is, you don't just say, it could be a bag of sugar, it could be a bag of flour. You send that out to the lab, they test it. But when my attorneys went to go seek these alleged drugs, guess what, everybody? No drugs were never found, none were never tested, none were never submitted. And out Killer Ruiz's mouth, his own mouth, he said, oh, I didn't see any drugs. I heard about it on the news. Are you freaking kidding me? And then I forgot what else Chapman said, but like the lies, one thing about a lie is going to constantly change because you're not going to remember. It's not fact, right? So with that being said, we never lied about anything. The way that they lied, the way that they slaughtered my brother, just like I explained when I was on Kentmore and Kelsway on this Friday that passed, I said, as horrible, and I mean horrible, as my brother's execution was, the cover-up was far worse. People that I trust that do something as simple as just let the truth fall where it may. You know, let everybody get held accountable, that had any part of doing something wrong. But in this case, it's like the Pandora's box. It's like it's so many people that went so far to cover up one unarmed man. Like literally, you had David Fowler actually have Pamela Southall, a black African-American woman who still works for the medical exam bar. And Bruce Goldfarb needs to be ashamed of himself. He's the devil's advocate. And I recently read, and I got so disgusted, I couldn't even read no more, where he had made a statement about, oh, well, you should never question a doctor's opinion. Are you freaking kidding me? Once I saw that foolishness, I'm just like, like, no, I'm not going to do it. Because some days I can tolerate foolishness, but on other days when I'm like dealing with like a bunch of just regular foolishness in my own life, I'm not going to add on to the plate. So that day I was dealing with like other foolishness, and I was like, I'm not going to add this to my plate. But the whole point of the matter is, in my brother's case, the corruption was so real. It was to the point, literally, that everybody involved is lying, covering up one unarmed man. I had reporters that know me to this day say, you know what, Miss Jones, I never saw such. They were huddled around your brother's body as if they were playing a sport. It's almost like you see the Baltimore Ravens and they get together and they're like, all huddled up, like hands hugging around each other's back, and they're all together as a team. Like, what's our next move? I want you to stand down here. I want you to run for this person. I want you to do that. They were all huddled up, over 25 to 30 officers huddled up in a circle. This was the scene, and this was the same scene that worthless Worley, who's our top, the commissioner, he showed up at that scene, and even he said out of his own mouth in a town hall meeting, he said that he was disturbed by the scene. But with all of him being so disturbed by the scene, no time did he do anything to correct the scene. No time did he do anything to correct anything, to hold nobody accountable. Everybody's in the bed with each other. It is so sick, man, and it's very disgusting. And if that wasn't enough, we had our first killer cop, Ruiz, go and marry Michelle Battle. And we wonder why we cannot get accountability from our Baltimore's, city prosecutor's office. That is so disgusting. Like, at the end of the day, I don't have nothing to do with who's sleeping in the bed with somebody, who's shacking up, or whatever the case may be. All I want is accountability. That means you got to move them up out of there, transfer them somewhere else. I don't care. But give me my day in court. Give me my day. Let me be able to pick out, let us have a jury trial, or however the case may be. I can't wait for that day to come. Like, I done been featured in so many documentaries. I'm talking about, I done been on, like, CNN News. I done been talking to Gail King, discuss the latest findings, like, all type of stuff. But guess what? At the end of the day, none of that means anything until we get accountability. Like, it ain't never been about me. I never made this about me. It's about the victims of police brutality. I never made this about me. This is a club that nobody signs up for, but when you get pretty much jumped into the club, you have no choice but to be your brother's keeper. You have no choice but to do the right thing. And while I'm fighting for accountability for my big brother, I'm fighting for all the victims of police brutality, because it is real. Unfortunately, right now, while I'm speaking, while we are doing this podcast live, talking right now, somebody is getting brutalized in America. Somebody's over, their house being entered, all type of stuff is happening. But we just need to keep on fighting this dirty system. We need to knock it down and build it back up, because something is not working. And I'm thinking, like, we gonna try everything, like literally sitting down with, like, I'm talking about testifying in front of the UN. Like, when I say think about it and ask me, did I try that? Yes, I did. I done, like, talked to the commissioners, like, that were, like, pretty much like taking testimony from only 153 families, and these were like some big people that we were talking to, like the commissioners from all over. I done met with, like, every time we get a commissioner, I sat down. Only one I didn't sit down with was Worthless Worley, because why I sat down with him when he was so disrespectful at Northeast Police District. He used to run me and my family away. So why would I sit down with him? Why? Like, the only way I sat down with that man, and only if he calls me and say, you know what, I'm ready to do right. I'm ready to hold these killer cops accountable. Then maybe, oh maybe, I'll sit down with him. Until that day, I have nothing for him. Nothing good to say about him, because to sit by and then literally, as we have community people get murdered, he don't even have a heart to or compassion to say, oh my goodness, there was a 70-year-old lady, like, this is horrible and heartbreaking, like, I'm gonna see if I can, do whatever I can do to hold somebody accountable. No, he goes out there and says, oh, well, they've been in our house 20 times. Like, what? So what time was they going to get it right? And when they murdered our brother Bilal Abdullah, like, it took 38 bullets. And what bullet made them feel safe? Was it the 38th one? I'm confused. Like, 38 bullets to one person? That is disgusting. They be using us for target practice. It is disgusting. And then when they don't shoot us, unfortunately, they beat us down. Like, my brother was pepper sprayed, tased, tortured. He was a father snatched from taking care of his children, from getting to meet his beautiful grandchildren. It is disgusting. He was the glue of my family. He was my big brother. He was my everything. He meant absolutely nothing to those killer cops, nothing. But he meant the world to my family, to his loved ones, to his community. He meant the world. And that's why we're going to constantly fight until we seek accountability. I don't care how long it takes. And they thought we was going to come out with our little protest signs and, say the Lord things and you be out there temporary. No, you got me messed up. Like, no. Anytime I dug into my pocketbook, and I don't have money, like, I'm a teacher, I don't hold a lot of money, I don't have money, I barely got enough to take care of my family, but I work hard each and every day. I'm working now in the summer, but the whole point is, I literally took my money. I didn't do a GoFundMe. That was my money that I took away, that I was kind of having in the bank account for my children. So if they needed things for their college education, I can go in there and give a couple dollars, I'll get them, whatever. They snatched all that away, because there's no way in the world that you were going to lie and say that my healthy young brother at the tender age of 44, that was the healthiest man in my whole entire family, didn't even have a cavity in his mouth. Very healthy, ate healthy, exercise, helped his elderly grandmother every day walk up and down the steps. And when she was too weak to walk up and down the steps, he carried her. And for them to lie and say that my brother died, just had a bad heart and dehydration, and the fact that literally the next day when they walked into my family home, before we got the flimsy, untrue autopsy report, 154 days, literally on the 19th, when they walked in with the lies. Oh, we want to make sure Mr. West didn't have a bad heart. We know it was really hot yesterday. We want to make sure that the weather wasn't a contributing factor to Mr. West's death. We want to make sure lies. They already knew what they was going to say. And then they also was studying us. Like, they did an interview of us, an interrogation of my family. Who are you? Where do you work? Trying to find the weakest link. And like I said, sorry, ma'am, sir, there's no weak link in my family. We all roll together as one. Like, and that's where we need to be. And what happens is, and then once you start building coalition, they will find somebody to try to sell the person out, give information that's not, like, that can hurt us. That, like, that's like secretive that you're trying to hold until you have your court date. They're telling, they're running back. They're being their informant. Not like, it's just disgusting. But I said all that to say, we are going to get accountability. I don't care how long it takes. but we're going to get it. And the time is up. Like, really, I'm not going to wait another 12 years. I'm not, because I really feel some type of way. We're 12 years overdue. And I always think about poor Miss Dorothy Elliott, the mom of Archie Elliott, that was executed. And this beautiful queen, she came in young, and now she's an elderly, beautiful queen. But she's been in this fight for over 30-something years. I don't want to be in this fight for 30-something years, still trying to fight for account. I don't want to be in this fight for 30-something years. I will keep fighting even when we get accountability, but I don't want to be trying to seek accountability. I want to already have it. I want to be the voice to lead the other ones, the youth, and to, hey, this is what you do, this is how you do it, let's go. But I don't want to just be, I still don't have accountability after 30 plus years. 12 is so exhausting and frustrating. Definitely don't want to wait 32 years for that. So I said all that to say, I'm here for the stay. I didn't sign up for it. Since it signed me up, I'm going to keep on fighting, and I'm going to fight till we get it. 10 toes down, I ain't going nowhere. I don't care. Like, literally, you don't know this type of stuff. This fight is so serious, it follows you to your job. It shows up in your relationship. It shows up everywhere. But guess what? I don't care. I'm going to keep on fighting. Nothing's going to stop me. You got that? And when I get too weak, God forbid, I got others that's going to carry the torch. So it ain't going to stop. All we ever asked for was accountability, and that's it. Nothing more, nothing less. So I'm going to check in to see if anybody want to say or add anything to what I just said, and we're going to check it to see if we got any questions or comments. Mic check.
Mic check.
Mic check.
Mic check.
I'll mention a few things. Worthless Worley, as we've mentioned on this live stream before, he was the commander of the Northeast District when cops under his command killed Tyrone West and committed a number of other atrocious, violent crimes. So it came out in Mississippi, in Rankin County. They used to have a group of cops, 6 cops, called the Goon Squad. And they tortured people for hours on end. They did terrible things for years. And the man over them, the sheriff, was a guy named Brian Bailey. And he insisted again and again and again that he didn't know, that he was unaware. But it finally came out. I forget how the information was finally discovered, but it finally came out that he definitely knew. And I think we're dealing with the same kind of thing with Worthless Worley, that he knew what they did when they killed Tyrone West. And yet he's the top cop in the city now, with a history of brushing aside, covering up, and condoning racist, violent behavior by the police, particularly those that took Tyrone's life. So that's the first thing I wanted to mention. The second is, Tawanda, I know you made a point at the recent memorial for Tyrone that you were not going to cry. Let the cops cry as they get prosecuted and taken off to jail. But I wasn't as strong as you, because I said a few words about Tyrone and I was pretty much beginning to cry at the end. So I'll try to do a little better. And I just want to announce that this Saturday, some of us, those who are in Progressive Labor Party, we're organizing a social event. It's a trip to one of the state parks where they'll be swimming. So if anyone would like to join in, please let us know. Mic check.
Mic check, and thank you for sharing that. And I'm sorry, like, just because I said that I didn't want to shed tears, I didn't mean for you guys not. Like, I didn't want nobody to be like, oh, y'all can't shed tears. Like, y'all could cry like babies. I'll be there to wipe your tears, so don't feel bad. Because I said and let me be clear, Tawanda Jones, let's set the record, Tawanda Jones is not going to cry. They can already start crying. But as for, like, people that, love Tyrone and, all the wonderful stuff, y'all, feel free to cry. Feel free to cry, but I'm not. That's something that the stance I'm taking, because last year it was 11 years, way more tears. Yeah, they like that because we're dealing with some sickos, and sickos get off whenever they get off on your pain. Like, I'm telling you, they are some sick, you know what, and I'm trying to stay away from using potty words, but sickos, like, you think about sick people, they're like murderers and, you know, like, sick people, they get it twisted, like, they'll steal, like, somebody panties to get off. They get off on our pain. They really get off on our pain. I'm going to get off on theirs. That's what I'm ready to do. So I'm not crying no more. They gonna be crying. I know they cry every time they see my hot face on the news. My cousin made me hot face because every time they see my face, the reason why she called me hot face is my face liable to pop up. You could be watching a church prayer online and you'll see late breaking news. Miss Jones back in the spotlight talking about accountability because it ain't about Miss Jones. It's about these victims. Mic check.
Mic check.
Mic check.
Awesome. Hi, Khalil. Do you want to say anything or add to before you read it? See if we got any questions or comments?
Not much before reading the comments. I just wanted to say definitely giving solidarity and support since I wasn't able to be present for West Wednesday last week or the commemoration. But I know, like many people, I'm definitely inspired by the movement of the West Coalition and the work that we're doing to get this accountability and to put on blast these killer cops and the politicians that are complicit with their terror on our communities. So I just wanted to get that out before reading the comments.
Okay, I appreciate that. Thank you so much.
Mm-hmm. Now, starting off with the comments from Facebook, we have Karis saying mic check. On YouTube, Ansel Jones, mic check. Angela as well, mic check. AC Britt, mic check. AC Britt also commented, it's turning out that they are all crud balls, you know, talking about the politicians, state's attorney, all of them. Thomas Frazier commented, so true. Hillary commented, it is beyond time for accountability. All of these attorneys and law enforcement and office of the medical examiners, staff who were a part of the cover-up in this case need to be held accountable for their behavior. Governor Wes Moore, Maryland Attorney General Ivan Bates, all of you need to step up and make sure this case is reinvestigated and prosecuted to the full extent of the law. If you choose not to, you are complicit in the cover-up. Thomas Frazier also commented 100 emojis, 100% emojis. Mainism commented mic check. Judah commented late mic check. And Thomas Frazier commented prayer emojis. Mic check.
Mic check.
Mic check. And thank everybody for commenting. And I remember my brother Thomas Fraser. I'm sending love out to everybody. Thank y'all. Like, Sister Angela, like, and it said that she literally has to come in town, you know, drive a 5-hour trip to fight for her brother, Timothy Fleming, who was executed. And we still don't have accountability for Timothy Fleming. Timothy Fleming. It don't have Anthony Anderson. It's disgusting. And as y'all know, Nicole would have been out there with me. But she passed away this year. She would have been right out there on that front line screaming for her father-in-law, Anthony Anderson, and for her beautiful daughter. She would have been screaming. So it's just sad and disgusting. But my brother Thomas, I remember at one of our first West Wednesday is where I met my brother Thomas at. And I never forget, and he probably don't even remember this, but he showed up. And my brother was on crutches. I'll never forget, something was going on. I don't know if he had a foot injury, a leg injury, but he was on crutches. And he spoke out about his loved one being impacted and life stolen by a police officer. We all stood in solidarity, and he had some strong points. And from there, we literally walked over. We was at the state's attorney's office, and we walked over somewhere else to continue doing West Wednesday. So, like we've been boots on the ground ever since. And even with the little I forgot what you call it, the special shoe when you can't stand up straight. But my brother I never forget, he had a boot on his ankle. I don't know if something was wrong with his foot, but he had the crutches on. I was like, he was speaking some truth to power. So I just want to thank like each and everybody that I met, and I believe like even like with my sister Dean, like each and every one of us, our lives crossed for a reason. And it wasn't just to be like, oh, let's meet and greet. Like each and every last one of you guys are so special and near and dear to me. And I could not imagine living in this world without you guys. Like you guys all are amazing. I love you all. Like I remember each one of y'all as y'all stepped into West Wednesday, you know, and we met up or however we met up, you know, as you said, but at the same time, out of the sadness, there did come something great. Like even me and Judah and him inviting us to his events, and he's uplifting Freddie Gray every year doing something to make sure nobody ever forgets about Freddie Gray. So I just, like I said, big shout out to each and every last one of y'all. Like y'all all are amazing. So I want to see if anybody want to add anything to anything I'm saying right now, or want to add their own thing, any upcoming events before, unfortunately, we go to the sad list. Mic check.
Mic check. Just one more comment from Thomas. He said, much respect, T. I had a broken ankle and tibbler.
Ooh, that's even worse. Like, when you go. Oh, my goodness. When he was out there, he didn't even let a broken ankle stop him. And that's how real it's like. And then, and not only that, like, he like was like literally at this time, like he had traveled a while. Like it wasn't like, okay, I'm just in downtown Baltimore. Like he actually traveled to come and be at that first West Wednesday. So that was what's up. Thank you guys. Like I love y'all. Y'all all are amazing. So I want to see again. I'm gonna check in with the West Coalition and see if anybody else want to add or say anything, because as my understanding, I believe that we have like 18 names, unfortunately, on our police brutality list. Not sure how many or if any do we have on our community violence list. But again, community violence and police brutality are hand in hand. You know, they always try to pull us over here and say, oh, community violence is over here and police brutality over there. That's how they play us. That's how they water down the movement. That's exactly how. That's why they're not ready when we have uprisings. They can't stand it. They're shaking in their boots because they're like, oh my goodness, they finally get it. Like everybody's together for the one cause, one purpose, one fight type of thing. And they shake and they shiver. They're like, we got Jews out there. We got Muslims, Christians. We got non-believers. We got gang members. We got Lottie-Dottie and everybody fighting at one cause, one purpose. They can't take it. That's what we need to go back to that. Like, we really do. Like, enough is enough. And I'm having memories pop up. They was talking about when Sonia Massey, not too long ago, was executed, literally because she rebuked the killer cop devil in the, you know, the name of Jesus Christ, and was executed in her own home. Like, at what point is it going to stop? And then recently they target Breonna Taylor's auntie, and I had her, this Sister Queen, on our West Wednesday. She just got out of jail for whatever reason. They target her, and I love when I say this queen took the most beautiful mugshot ever. Like, how can you take a beautiful mugshot, but her face, that look said it all. Like, yeah, y'all can play with me if y'all want. I'm ready. That was, I'm ready. She had that look. I would hang that mug shot in my living room. It's so fly. But anyway, that's a whole nother story. But shout out, I'm glad she home. But like I said, whenever we start fighting this fight, we have a target all over our back, everywhere. So yeah. And it's to the point, the only reason why I'm crystal clear coming through to you guys is because, unfortunately, I'm not at my home. I'm not at my house right now. As tired as I am, working off 2 to 3 hours of sleep, ready to pass out. I'm putting about 9 to 10 hours at my job. Extremely busy day to day. Because my co-teacher, he had an appointment and I only got to spend an hour with him. So I had a substitute teacher in camp with me. So I'm like, oh my goodness, but I hated work. I always do. But with that being said, hearts and minds are clear. I don't have the statement in front of me, but I'm going to say it as best as I know. But I'm going to check in real quick to see if anybody want to say or add anything to the conversation before we go into our list. Mic check.
Mic check.
Mic
Just
check.
real quick, we have a couple more comments from Adina. She was responding to Thomas saying, "Damn, brought the walking boot to the ground. That's warrior stuff." And also about Breonna Taylor's aunt. Breonna Taylor's aunt was denied entry into the courtroom for the sentencing. She and her man and Breonna's boyfriend were all denied entry, and they went outside to protest that, and they locked her up. The pigs probably packed the courtroom. Mic check.
Mic check.
Mic check.
Wow, mic check. And thank you, my sister Adina, for clearing it up, because I was just like, I didn't get a chance to reach out to Bianca yet to find out why was she even arrested. That's disgusting. They'll ever throw us in a cell block besides these killer cops. That is disgusting. And Brian, I think you was going to say something, Brother Brian. Mic check.
No, I'm just standing by with the local violence list.
Okay, awesome. Okay, well, and thank you, my Queen Kalia, for sharing that information. Definitely appreciate it. Much respect and love. But so I'm going to get right into our mission statement as best as I know it. So it is the mission of the West Coalition to fight for accountability, not just for my big brother Tyrone West, but for all the victims of police and police brutality. We know that all victims aren't murdered. You know, some victims, and mainly more victims, survive than the ones that are pretty much fall to their demise. And it's really sad and disgusting, but we are here for all victims of police brutality and murder. And we get our list that we read, and we're reading it out of a place of love and a place of care. We're not reading it to exploit anybody's family, their belief, their loved ones. We're literally just reading this list just to say, hey, this is a human being. And the list that we receive are, you know, sometimes, well, all the time on a local and a national outlet from where we get the information that we share with you guys. But unfortunately, we don't have any like additional details or information, you know, of the people involved. All we know is somebody was murdered. And like, I believe that nobody deserves to be brutally murdered or executed or brutalized. Like, that is disgusting to me. I always say live to love, love to live. I believe in that. Like, we have enough of hatred in this world. We need to spread love every day, all day long. Like, the world can never get enough of love. And that's my belief. And even though the West Coalition members come from different background and belief, like we have some of our soldiers on here that are communists. We have some that are religious warriors, such as myself. You know, we come from different backgrounds of belief. We do not try to force that on anyone. You know, it's just our stuff, and everybody, like I said, is not, you know, held accountable like for being a communist, because everybody on here is not. You know, everybody on here is not a Christian. Everybody is not, you know, whatever the case may be. But we're all here for that one fight, one cause, one purpose. And again, we get the list from local and national outlets without having any details. So we apologize in advance if we say a name that might be disturbing to you, and you're like, oh my goodness, I can't believe that they're saying that name. Well, guess what? Unfortunately, all we know is it was a human being that pretty much died, because we're not reading the victims that survived. We're just reading people that passed away. And we're here to say mediation should be had, because we believe in mediation. You know, if you can't agree to disagree, we rather you sat down at the table, because now everybody's in a conversation, and you're communicating, and you're setting boundaries and lines and things of that nature, and you can agree to disagree and walk away. We believe in mediation. So if you're having problems right now amongst yourselves or with anyone, instead of taking violence to the streets or whatever the case may be, please know that there's another way. And I want to just add this in before we go there. I was just recently in the courtroom of the murderer, Everett Swartz, that murdered my unarmed cousin Tavon Anderson for no reason. No reason. No reason. We're still trying to figure out why did he go on a killing spree. But that's a whole nother case. But being in that courtroom, actually seeing a case where there was a young man that got life plus 45 years, y'all, for murdering some other young guy at a gas station. And then he the victim family member was there to give her impact statement. And when she said, I forgive you, that literally like snatched my whole soul out. We were all crying, and even the victim's mother was crying, and even the defendant mother was crying, because at that same moment, she lost her son to seeing her baby, regardless if he killed somebody or not. So I learned that day, like that flipped it over and made me see things from a whole nother perspective. Even in the case of murder, which is so sad. That's why I say I'd rather you sit down and go through mediation, because you don't know what you're doing to both sides of the family. Even the defendant family, they have a family and friends that love them. They have a family and friends that love them, and they don't want to see them go down. You know, and then even the victims, they are devastated because you done took something back that's irreplaceable. So why take all of our families through that? Why do it? And if you are kill a cop, you know, why kill somebody? Why brutalize somebody? Why treat somebody the way you don't want to be treated? So I said that to say, live to love, love to live. So we're going to read these names in a few minutes. The time now, I believe, unless it changes in the seconds, the time now is 7:54. And just to make sure we get enough time in, we're going to come back at 7:56. And if you're into praying, say a prayer. If you're into just sending positive love and whatever you want to do that's positive, right? Do that. We need all of that. You know, do that, and we're going to stand in solidarity for 2 minutes, and we'll be back at 7:56 to read the community violence list as well as our police brutality list. Mic check.
Mic check.
Mic check.
Thank you guys so much. The time now is exactly 7:56. I'm handing it over to my brother Brown first. Mic check.
Mic check.
Mic check. Thank you, Twanda. As always, we read off the list of people who died by violence here in Baltimore. Recently, these lists are a little behind, much like the police violence lists. But we just try to remember that each of these people was the center of a whole world. They had friends, they had relatives, they had mothers and fathers, and possibly kids, and certainly friends and coworkers. And so we lift their names up both to memorialize them and recognize their community, and to dedicate ourselves to this work. So if you would just read the names back, or echo the names back to me. We'll start with Nenito Alusi.
Nenito Alusi.
Keith Garrett.
Keith
Garrett,
Garrett.
Randolph Smith,
Randolph
Smith,
Gregory Johnson,
Gregory Johnson.
and lastly, Dennis Dorsch.
Dennis Dorsch.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Brother Brian. And I believe that Uncle Bill and someone else is splitting the names in half. I believe it's Kalia. So it's all you guys. Mic check.
Mic check.
Mic check. Yes,
check.
for the police brutality list, we have a total of 15 names going from the 16th of July to the 20th of July. I'll be reading the first 8 names, and then Bill will be reading the 7 that remain. Starting off on the 16th of July in Galveston, Texas, a 25-year-old male, Orlando Silva Lemus.
Orlando Silva
Lemus.
Also on the 16th of this month in Opelika, Alabama, 32-year-old male, Brian Daniel Hall.
Brian
Daniel Hall.
Brian Daniel Hall.
Moving on to the 17th of July in Woodbridge, Virginia, 52-year-old male, Harrison Charles Depp.
Harrison
Charles Depp.
Harrison Charles Depp.
Also on the 17th in Jackson, Tennessee, 52-year-old male, Christopher Pierce.
Christopher
Pierce.
Also on the 17th in Gastonia, North Carolina, 39-year-old male, Jeremy Jackson Bonham.
Jeremy Jackson Bonham.
Also on the 17th in Ivanhoe, California, 33-year-old male, Rigoberto Lopez.
Rigoberto
Lopez.
Also on the 17th in Santan Valley, Arizona, a 46-year-old female, Melissa Mills.
Melissa Mills.
Moving on to the 18th of July in Macon, Georgia, a 23-year-old male whose name was withheld by the police.
Cell blocks for killer cops. Ashe.
Ashe.
Now I'll pass the list on to Bill. Mic check.
Mic check.
Mic check.
So first I want to thank Zach, who always puts this list together for us and makes sure we have it to uphold the names of those whose lives have been stolen by the police. So thank you so much, Zach. Secondly, before I go to the second half of the list, we're covering from the 16th to the 20th of this month. So that's 5 days. However, the first day may have that date, the 16th, may have included some people who had their lives stolen and were listed in the previous list. And the last day, which is the 20th, may have an incomplete list. On the next list, there may be more people whose lives were taken on that same date. So it's 5 days, but if you take off like half a day at the beginning and half a day at the end, it really counts as 4 days. And during that time, 15 people were killed. So that means that the police murder in that recent period came close to 4 lives every day. I just wanted to make sure we're clear on that. So to continue upholding the lives of these folks whose lives were stolen, in Winkleman, Arizona, on the 18th, 60 years old, a man whose name has been withheld by the police.
Ashe.
I just wanted to let you know, you skipped over another person from Colorado.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. All right, let me go back to that person. Colorado Springs, Colorado, on the 18th, a man, once again, whose name at this point has been withheld by the police.
Ashe.
Ashe. In Tupelo, Mississippi on the 19th, 31 years old, Juwan Harris.
Juwan Harris.
Juwan Harris.
In Jacksonville, Florida on the 19th, 63 years old, name withheld by the police.
Cell blocks for
Cell
killer
blocks for
cops.
killer
Ashe.
cops. Ashe.
Ashe.
Ashe. In Wicks, I think that's Arizona on the 19th, 65 years old, Darren Laudermilk.
Darren
Aaron Laudermilk.
In Kinston, North Carolina on the 20th, a man whose age has not been given and whose name has been withheld by the police.
Cell blocks for killer cops. Ashe.
Ashe.
And finally, among the lives we're upholding this evening, in Fayetteville, North Carolina on the 20th, a man whose age has not been given to us and whose name has been withheld by the police.
Cell blocks for killer cops. Ashe.
Ashe.
Back to you, Tawanda.
Awesome. So thank you. And Kalia, I wanted to double check before we close out to see if we had any additional comments or questions. Mic check.
Mic check. So far, our most recent one is from Latoya on Facebook, commenting mic check.
Awesome. Mic check out, Queen. Mic check. And a big shout out to her who's fighting for her loved one, Xavier. You know, and she fights really hard. So a big shout out to her and a shout out to everybody. Just a shout out to all of us. So remember, guys, live to love, love to live. We won't stop. We can't stop until killer cops are in cell blocks. We're more than hashtags and body bags. We're more than being 6 feet in the dirt and pictures and buttons on T-shirts. Our lives matter. It may not matter to the ones that are executing us or brutalizing us, but it matters to the families that are attached and that you're doing this stuff. It can easily stop. We just have to stop it. So unfortunately, the way we brought you in with that video of real victims that are giving testimony to them being brutalized by one of the 18 to 20 murderers that murdered my unarmed brother, Tyrone West. Please stay tuned. And remember, we will see you next week at West Wednesday. Mic check.
Mic check.
Mic check.
And Mr. West begging for his life. And Mr. Salam begging for his child to be excluded and comforted from what was taking place. Not for himself, but for his 3-year-old child.
Case number 4, Adina Britt and family, September 10th, 2015.
My name is Adina Britt, and I wanted to submit a 30-second testimonial that Jorge Omar Bernardez Ruiz is one of the 11 terrorists that came into my house performing a home invasion in September 2015, terrorizing my entire family and even holding my 12-year-old son at gunpoint. He needs to be stopped.
Case number 5, unidentified arrestee, assaulted in 2016.
I suggest you back the fuck up. No, why you want to talk to me? Why would you say that?
Again, this video did not surface until the summer of 2020. Case 6, Thomas McCullough, May 2016 and February 2017.
I heard my front door coming off the hinges like it exploded.
Thomas McCullough says it happened twice. In May 2016 and February 2017, Baltimore City Police burst through his green front door and raided his Pimlico home.
They said, police. They come up, shotguns, guns.
He says officers ransacked the place, looking for drugs, money, and weapons. He took pictures of the damage he says they left behind.
Tell us where the drugs are, the scales, the guns, and the large amounts of money.
Nothing was found. Now he's suing police, claiming officers, including a former member of the Gun Trace Task Force, frightened him, his wife, and father-in-law when the officers conducted what his suit calls an illegal search of his home. The owner of the house tells 11 News after the second raid, he had to replace the front door. McCullough and his attorney say they want Baltimore police held accountable.
There is a colossal breach of trust.
And McCullough tells us following both raids, no one was arrested or charged.
This all begs the question, when will Baltimore City State's attorney see the prosecution of Bernardez Ruiz as warranted?
They were the stopping officers in these so-called jump-out cars, unmarked and so forth, that stopped both the West vehicle and the Salam vehicle without probable cause. And these officers are the ones that also were joined by others, but they are the ones who initiated the stops, pulled both men out of the vehicles, and commenced the vicious activity that was thrust upon them.
And the officer Ruiz that started this attack is still working with promotions. He is now sergeant. But the fact that this repeat violent offender had a history leading up to my brother. There was Darrell Harris, there was James Green, Joseph Green, Abdul Salam. No one family deserves to be brutally murdered or brutalized by this repeat violent offender Ruiz. It is time we take action. The time is now.
Baltimore police officer Jorge Bernardez Ruiz is a repeat violent offender. Based on these accounts, in accordance with the law, we, the West Coalition, call for him to be fired, prosecuted, and incarcerated.
We're more than hashtags and body bags. We're more than being 6 feet in the dirt and pictures and buttons on t-shirts. Our lives matter.
For the safety of our city, the prevention of further harm, and the justice for these families, we see no other option.
And again, I'll say, the time is now.